are listening to WCEG Network. We are a worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Log on to WCEGTalkRadio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, on Roku cable TV channel, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm your host, Jeremy Walker, retired Sergeant First Class out of the Army, who, with my co-host, amazing co-host, Tiffany Morman, another Army veteran, Major. Cool. That's what I'm talking about.
Cool.
And today we're going to talk about something that's really important to our community right now. But before we go into that, we want you to subscribe for free on our YouTube channel with WCEG Network. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. Connect with us on LinkedIn, Fanbase, Blue Sky, and Threads. Download us for free at WCEG mobile apps. Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and the guests, not WCEG Network. Now, thank you for your continued support. Today, we're going to be talking about suicide prevention, and mental health awareness. Tiffany, I want you, if you can, we're going to start off with the introduction for Miss Renea Jones-Hudson, and then I'm going to follow you off with my friend Paul Posey here, Dr. Paul Posey, and the future Dr. Renea Hudson over here. I just make sure I want to put that out there. And
manifest that, yes.
Yes, right. That's right. So if you go ahead and start off with her bio, and then I'll follow with Paul's, and we'll go from there.
For sure, Jeremy. Thank you. Good morning to our beautiful two guests here that's going to let us get into this. But right now, I'll talk about Miss Renea Jones-Hudson, who is, like us, retired Army,
Cool.
U.S. Army captain, matter of fact, certified mental health first aider, and international speaker who helps women veterans reclaim our identity and confidence beyond the uniform. As the founder of Beyond the Uniform and the creator of Own It framework, she equips audiences to navigate transition, trauma, and mental health challenges with strength and strategy, like an Army person, right? With over 21 years of military leadership, that's where she learned all that from, and living experience, she's guiding women through the hidden layers of reintegration, which is so important that no one ever talks about, right? So thank you, Miss Renea. She's speaking with both authority and empathy, of course. She's currently earning her doctorate, like you said, doctorate, in health and wellness psychology, and is passionate about suicide prevention, visibility, and the real work of healing after service. Whether she's on stage or in the community or behind the mic on her podcast, Beyond the Uniform Transition Talks, or on this show, Renea stands for wholeness, resilience, and talking aligned action one step at a time. So let us please welcome her. She's put her website up. We'll put that information out there for everyone to follow her along in the future. But welcome, Miss Renea, please.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you for such a warm welcome. I'm excited to be here. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. I'll just wait for y'all to bring Paul up, and then we can get moving.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you for that, Renea, and thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Man, I have the honor, the privilege to welcome my brother, Dr. Paul Posey. Paul is a retired gunnery sergeant of 23 years in the United States Marine Corps. Hoorah!
Hoorah!
And as a veteran, while in the Marines, Paul held 7 military occupations, and from infantryman, Marine Corps, security guard, basic electrician, generator mechanic, utilities chief, canvassing recruiter?
Canvassing.
Is that right?
Yeah, canvassing.
Okay. And a decorated Marine non-commissioned officer in charge. Area recruiting until he retired in 2009. From 2011 to 2014, Paul obtained a bachelor's degree in business management from the University of Phoenix. He recently became alumni of Georgetown University and Texas A&M through various veteran programs. In January 2014, Paul landed a position in Atlanta's Veteran Affairs Medical Center, where he was hired as the first housing specialist in Metro Atlanta area, where he provided excuse me, cardinal instructions, and housed over 500 homeless veterans and their families in the HUD-VASH Homeless Veterans Program until fall of 2016. After leaving the VA, Paul began writing books and authored 12 books in the next 8 months and 3 more in the next year. Man, boy, I thought I was busy, but you something else. And then several books are based on men's mental health, personal growth, and a dating book. His work can be found at Walmart, Target? No, Paul, not Target. Oh,
back in the day.
Barnes and Nobles, Books a Millions, Goodreads, and Amazon. Paul has established several partnerships with several nonprofits such as SDP3, Self-Discovery, Pain Positioning, and Purpose, a suicide prevention program, NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness, IOVU, in our own voice, speaker, and host workshops for the Atlanta Center of Self-Sufficiency. Paul is certified as a mental health first aider. He recently became a certified anger management specialist and a certified life coach. In addition, Paul created a nonprofit called Negative to Positive Inc. for the betterment of men as well as veterans. He believes the way to heal our culture is to start with men issues, mental health. Now, he hosts a 5-series workshop bi-weekly called the Change Agent Program. And you guys, I promise you, this is something amazing. For ages 16 and up in the Atlanta metro area. Paul suffers from PTSD, anxiety, and depression, which is why he resigned from the VA to get much needed mental health help in October 2016 to date. In 2017, Paul took up photography as part of his road to recovery and self-discovery. As a published photographer, Paul's photographic work has appeared on the cover of 3 magazines and several billboards. Negative to Positive LLC event photography business is becoming a staple on the pages of the history book of the Atlanta metro area and expanding across the United States for now. As of August 2025, Paul has bestowed the honorary doctorate in humanitarianism for his community service for work with the veterans, the homelessness, and collaboration with other nonprofits. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my friend, Dr. Paul Posey.
I'm gonna have to shorten that thing.
Hey, man.
No,
How much
thank you.
time we got
that.
left?
Yeah,
Hey.
Paul.
I've been busy.
Don't feel bad. We got to brag on ourselves sometimes, and that's why we're here. That's one of the things I'm honored to do for you guys, is because people need to know our backgrounds. We need to be able to tell our stories. And one thing before we get started, I want Tiffany to tell a little bit about herself, because I have an amazing co-host, right? But we haven't had a chance to truly delve into who she is and what she does, and why this circle right here, this mighty four. Yeah, why we do what we do. So Tiffany, if you could tell us a little bit, and then we'll start off with a couple of questions.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Welcome, Dr. Paul, Dr. Renee. I'm speaking that into existence right there. I'm so happy you said that, because both of them are certified mental health first aiders. I've never heard of that. I'm very interested in learning more about that, because mental health is so finicky, isn't it, in our veteran world? When you said that you stopped going to the VA and you were a mental health patient there, or person there, that frightens me, that you don't want to go to the VA for mental health. But I understand. I understand why, right? So I just would love to learn more about that. I too did 21 years in the military. I too suffer from PTSD. I'm rated at about 70% just for the PTSD. Deployed. My husband was a combat soldier. I was a combat soldier. Deployed, 14 out of the 21 years of my service there. The other 7 were training, right, for deployment. So lots of mental health. Been out since 2012. and been a big woman's advocate, if you will, because, right, like you said, we're not being very visible once we get out. We're not very visible. A lot of my lady veterans don't even say that they're a veteran, and that hurts my heart. As well as last night, I told you I'm here in San Antonio hanging out with my old first sergeants from combat. One is a male, one is a female. The female, we're like super veterans. He did 26, right? He did 26 years, captured Saddam Hussein. He's in that picture with Saddam Hussein when he pulled him out the spider hole. That's my first sergeant.
Oh,
He doesn't
wow.
tell he doesn't tell anybody that he was in the military. Doesn't talk about it. He just got to 80% with VA because he's so not wanting to go talk about his mental health. So I'm very interested in today's guest and what we're going to learn today about how we can further our mental health first aid. So without further ado, I'll be quiet. Thank you.
Oh no, Tiffany, this is, I'm glad you started it that way, because this is what we hear. And the reason that I wanted Renee and I wanted Paul to be here is because of that conversation you just had. We have a lot of us, we're all combat vets on the screen. And then, from a male perspective, you're right, your first sergeant does talk. Paul does a great job of drawing that out of people. And Renee does an amazing job talking to other female veterans about, hey, what are the struggles that we have? And across the board, I hate to say that, but from September to February, it's suicide season for us. We have 22 veterans a day that are committing suicide. And now we're looking at the numbers increasing with the family members, the kids, and so forth. So when you look at this, it's becoming a generational curse when you think about it. And the reason they do so well, I really wanted them to talk, because they do the job for, they do a great job of getting people to talk and be able to open up, especially like going through working with Paul. I worked with Renee a lot longer than I worked with Paul initially. And, again, watching her podcast, she's done a phenomenal job. But I've seen Paul make people cry. And it was just like the first time they were able to open up about, man, you know what? I didn't feel like I had somebody to talk to. I didn't know what I could do this. I'm a man, and I joke and say man law all the time. But even Marvin Gaye had a song say, "I know a man ain't supposed to cry." That stigmatism is played out upon us, and then it falls back on us into our female counterparts. So that's what we're here today to talk about, and hopefully we'll be able to change a whole bunch of people's lives just by listening to these two professionals, and my friends and my family right now be able to say, "Hey, this is what we do. This is who we are, and this is how we can help."
Wonderful.
So I know I said a lot, but how did that make you guys feel? Because that's how we are right now. So we
I
just
want to hear
talk.
about Dr. Paul making somebody cry.
I'm a facilitator. I'm a speaker, but I'm a facilitator, and that's greater to me because that means there's a back and forth. When you're a facilitator, you're asking open-end questions and you're allowing the answer to be there. And that's the key purpose of starting my nonprofit, is to when I communicate with men, they have a safe place to speak and share at the level of how they feel and how they want. And some of them have said some things they've never said before. And to go back in your past, which, purpose of when we go to therapy is to visit our past and says what went wrong and what went right, what could we do better, what can we forgive, what we can't forgive, and how to redirect our lives so it'll be better going forward. That's what happens when these gentlemen are put in a position to just speak their thoughts and their hearts about the topics that we speak upon in my workshops.
And then
I can
Paul,
see
talk a little
tears.
bit. Can you elaborate a little bit on it too? Because you do something that I think is very well needed, not just in the veteran space, but in the men's space. You go back to when I was a boy, a
Yes.
young man, and I went through all of this trauma. And so
Yes.
now you had the military on top of it.
Yes.
So yeah, I want you to talk about that piece, because I think it starts. We go root cause analysis. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So in the 5-series workshop, we do start right there. The first workshop is called Ground Zero, where we talk about parenting, what we got from our parents, what we wish we got from our parents, what we're missing, and also how we're going to get what is missing. And that all happens within 6 hours. The first workshop is 6 hours because it gives everybody an opportunity to speak. I've been in so many men's groups, at least 20 of them, and this was, I found that was missing. They want to start where they're at today, but that's not how we govern our lives. We govern our lives via yesterday, and we don't know that we should be making changes or gathering those missing pieces for tomorrow. So in doing so, that really helps. And then we go into born but not raised. We talk about our moral compass and what we thought was right, and then we found out that was not right in our lives. The key thing is, this is your life. It's not me giving them my life. This is your life you're talking about. And then we go into whoa, I almost forgot what the fourth one or the third one is.
It's
Born but
okay.
not raised.
Yeah, well, let's skip the third one. I'll come back when it bounces in my head.
Okay.
Number
No
four,
worries.
the fourth is love and legacy, where we're talking about the relationships that we choose. Are they connected with our legacy? And those things have to be spoken because sometimes it's just assumed and they don't talk about that. And that's
Yep.
so important that we communicate everything that we have in our life. The third one, what we're talking about, is basically the leaderships that we need to have if we're going to lead our family. In the military, we talk about leadership all the time. We have classes on leadership. On the civilian side, they don't. They do
Right.
not. They just say the leader of the family or the matriarch or patriarch. But what does that really mean? And
Right.
we talk about all those traits that they could gravitate and become who they want to be for their family. It's all about family, really, what I'm doing with that. Now, the one we're doing with the veterans is called the Grid Square, where we
Grid
talk
Square.
about healing through connection, family connections, and suicide prevention. When I was working with the homeless veterans, one of the things I found out was they were not connected to their families.
At all.
I would ask them, especially the men, are you connected with your children? Because that's a part of your family. And some would say is, I wasn't connected with my dad, as if that's a getaway card for I'm not connected with my kids. So those are things we have to work on to make sure that we can fill the gaps. Because when it comes to sobriety, your family connection can really help that. Because more than likely, there's something that happened in your family that puts you in a position where you're actually using or you want to be disconnected. You have to find a way to fix it. Because no matter the age of the child, even if they're 50 years old, they still want to be connected with their parents.
Yeah.
Say
And
that.
Renee,
Nutshell.
I want you to caveat onto that because you guys are like the yin and the yang for this topic right now.
Yeah.
So I want to hear from you now.
Yeah, so I want to go back to what Tiffany said, about us female veterans not identifying as veterans, right? And so when I first got out of the military, that was me. I did not that was not the forefront for me. That's to identify as a veteran wasn't it wasn't something that I thought about until I actually. And before I say this, last night we were at an event and this was even brought up that the population that does not really outwardly identify are female veterans. And I found that to be true. My own experiences and even going into communities and seeing that. But, it wasn't until I was interviewing with a CEO of a health and wellness company. And I actually wasn't interviewing with him. I was interviewing with this hiring manager. And he came on the call and he was like, "Aren't you a veteran?" And I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Why aren't you leading with that?" Right. And I was like, wow, so he ran, and he was just so he was like, so this is the advice he gave me. Wherever you go, whatever room you go into, you lead with, "I'm a female veteran." He was like, you're a minority, you're a combat veteran, lead with that. And, just to talk based off of what Paul was saying, as far as, I feel like a lot of us female veterans, I'm a dual military. I'm also dual military, right?
Yeah.
And I would tell you from my experience, when we go into facilities, my husband and I, the automatic assumption is that he's a veteran, even if I'm presenting my card. It's I am using his status, right? So you have to, but society also, some people do not acknowledge women as veterans or even serving, right? No, even with all the accomplishments, we've had over the years, we're still not seen as part of the fighting force, right? The major contributions we've offered to the service, they're still invalidated. But even to come back to the mental health piece of that, Paul alluded to family, and one of the things I do stress is the ruck that we carried before we came in the military, right? Before we came in the service, we had our own, a lot of us come in for different reasons, right? Sometimes in most cases, it's trauma based. We're running from something. That was my story. I was running from something. I wanted a new start. I wanted to, start my life over. I just wanted to be somebody else, right? So there you have that ruck, right? And then the military assigns you a ruck and then reprograms you with the ruck that they have for you. So you're piling on all these things that you're not really dealing with, right? You're not really, you're just putting on top of one thing on top of the other. Now let's fast forward to the transition piece. Now you got a whole lot of baggage, right? And now you got a whole lot of bags that you're carrying, and then now you got to navigate this new space, right? So this is why the whole mental health piece is really. I'm also, I also suffer from PTSD, but it was a incident where I just got to a point where I was really, what is the word? I was really, I didn't want my kids to be afraid of me, because I had an episode where I literally had an out of body experience. And it was what the incident with my daughter, who was 4 at the time, is what prompted me to go get help. I was a captain coming out of the military. I know what to do. I know how to fix me. I don't need help. Like, who does that? So you're fighting against your ego and the fact that you do know what to do, but you don't know how to help yourself when it gets to that point, because you're constantly I got this, I can do this, I know this, I've done this for my soldiers, I've done this for others. So we get to that point where we're battling with our own self to get the support that we need. But and that's why I'm also so passionate about it. Paul was the one that recommended that I took the mental health first aider course. And, it just brought everything full circle to me, and it made sense. And this is why, because family members, when we get out of the military, we are not sharing our experience, our total experiences with our families, right? And the other thing is, a lot of times, even us, for myself, I went in at 18, came out at 40. I'm not the same person. But we may think we can just drop back in, and our family may think we can just drop back in. But we've gone through so much. As an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, my life experiences is not normal. It's not the same as my peers at that age. Even now, compared to a civilian woman, some of our life experiences, it won't mirror, right? So the mental health piece, I enjoyed that course because it reminded me that you have to speak to people with compassion. And a lot of times our families, they don't know how to navigate what we're going through because we don't know how to navigate it properly, right? So when we get the support that we need, we're better able to help someone else, and then we're better able to educate them on how to navigate this space if they have a veteran in their family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you hit it on the head. It's coming in. I was like, yep, we had the pre-existing conditions, right?
Yes.
Pre-existing. My parents divorced when I was 12, and my mama was harder than any drill sergeant. So I went in at 16. 2 years in the National Guard, and then, went active duty because I didn't have mentorship to say, hey, outside of all of these great scholarships and this and that, what do you do? And I'm still a young kid trying to figure out life. So the military felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that you guys do very well, everybody that's on the screen does well, is we create community. So you understand, I don't have to say certain things. Me and Paul joke about his life and come to find out he's telling my story, Lauren Hill over here. And then me and Tiff are talking. It's like, oh, wow, we shared the same combat experience and different things like that. So it's like, it's funny that the active duty, when you look at it, make up 7% of the world. Then when we get out, we become veterans, we make up 3% of the world. It's 90% of the world that hasn't served. And we came from that. And now we have to go back into it.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to be so easy to transition into that. That's kind of why I started Homeless to Boots. I was like, there's nobody there for us. And then we don't have that community. Even with the different branches, it's crazy. But we're like, oh yeah, but when we're in and we're in war, it don't make a difference if you're a Marine. I served with the 3-3 and the 3-6. Those are my brothers, you know what I'm saying? We was with the Air Force and moving around. But as soon as we get out the military, all of a sudden there's the disconnect. Then you're a male, then you're a female again, and then you're a veteran, and we're all trying to figure out these different titles. So that's something I want you guys to kind of talk to, because Renee, when I first met you, you were talking about, what is it, the Georgia Women's Veteran Coalition? Which, with Dr.
The
Stevens?
GMW, Dr. Amy
Yeah.
Stevens, Georgia Military
Yeah.
Women.
Georgia
Excuse
military
me.
women.
Yeah,
Good.
that was huge, because I had came from Arizona, again, the home of military intelligence. There wasn't really anything going on for veterans around the time, especially female veterans. And I come to Georgia, and it was kind of the same thing. And then I met Dr. Stevens, but I met you before I met her, and she kind of just was like, "Hey, we're doing something intentionally for females." So can you elaborate on that a little bit? You talk about that a little bit, please.
I think what a lot of the challenges are too, you know, we're who we are. We go out and seek what we need, right? I know I need help, I'm gonna go get help. And you know, when I'm always looking for mentorship, for community, all of that. So if I get the answer, I'm willing to share. And I will say, when I was in Virginia, because I moved here from Virginia, I retired in Virginia. We had the Women's Veteran Interactive Foundation. That's probably what you remember me saying. The WVI.
Yeah.
That was the first place that I felt like I was back in the military, because everybody spoke the same language I did. They're all military women, you know, and for me, what that validated for me, like at times I thought I was crazy with some of the things that I experienced. And now I'm in a community and we're all speaking the same language, you know? So, you know, like I'll sit back, I'll remember something and I'm like, that can't be real. And then I'm talking to another veteran, whether male or female, and I'm like, oh, that did happen. So what it is, it's, you know, the community piece is important. Especially for female veterans, because for one, in many cases, our service is not validated. And as you can see, right, we're invincible. I told you the story about me and my husband going in different places. But it's a huge thing. Our accomplishments, they get downplayed, right? Our skills, all of that stuff. And whether it's intentional or not, it does affect a woman veteran that's served, because in many cases we've seen them captured, you know, killed. We're experiencing the same traumas. We're going through the trenches with you. So why? And I hope I didn't get off topic. You know, I'm having a call.
You're spot on.
Good.
You having a what?
A call moment.
Okay.
So
Yeah, the moment. Well, it's okay. That's
and then there's that part. And then there's that part, the We Do Not Care Club part, right?
Right. Right. You know, but I think community is very important. Community is very important. And it does matter. Like, I love what Paul does, because he's going to tap into an area that I myself, as a female coach, may not be able to reach with a male veteran. Right. So this helps me, because then I'm like, you know what? I know someone that you can talk to. I have a resource for you, because there's only so far we'll go. Like, the same thing with Paul. He may have a female veteran, and her experiences may not allow her to talk to him.
Absolutely. Especially when you're talking
That's
about
openly.
MST. When
Yes,
that's something I
exactly.
did not know about until I worked at the VA as a such thing as MST,
yes.
military sexual
And
trauma.
that's for men and women, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where you may get a male client that will tell you everything, he may not tell me everything,
Right.
right? Because it's uncomfortable. And he may, but I'm just saying, to have a male and female, what did you call it, facilitator in that aspect, it does serve a huge purpose. Because when I was growing up, and even in the military, I was very shy, very soft spoken. But what I've learned, it is also a superpower because it allows people to come to me. It's inviting. Everybody doesn't gravitate to the rah and like aggressive personality. And I used to be very insecure with that. And it took age to be comfortable with who I am fully. And that's part of healing too, because had I not gotten to this place, I wouldn't be able to serve in this capacity. I understand. I lived it. I've experienced it. So I can relate, and I can say, I know what you're talking about in some cases, right? So just understanding like the whole dynamic, it does matter that we have the community, we have the space to create the space. And that's one of the things that the mental health first aider really touches on: how you communicate, your empathy, your compassion, validating the individual. Just because you didn't go through it doesn't mean it didn't happen for them, right? So you learn to listen, and then you validate their feelings, and then you support them in the best way you can.
Okay, can I jump in?
Hold on, Paul, real quick. Let me ask you a question before I lose this stuff.
I've been taking notes. First, I want to say it's called Sticks and Stones. What'd you say,
there you
Posey
go.
Moment? Yeah, that's number 3 is called Sticks and Stones, where we talk about building resilience and problem solving skills at the high level, and to teach how to solve problems and teach others how to solve problems within their life. The mental health first aider, it helps you to tell the difference between mental health challenges and illnesses.
Yes.
What you really need to know when you're meeting people. So when you're having these dialogues and you allow them to share, you need to be able to say, this is bigger than I thought or what they thought. And knowing that you have a limit. We're not diagnosing, but we're recognizing the trends of a challenge, or is there a mental illness there? And then try to get them to the proper people to talk to beyond us. One of the reasons I started my program is people won't go to a therapist. People won't go to a psychiatrist, right? Because of fear. Well, if we change it and put them in a safe place, that will get them an opportunity to go, because it's not that bad. Well, it can be dealt with. I can't say fixed. Be dealt with in a professional manner to help you get from 0 to over 75% of wholeness that you can as a man. Getting help was one of my issues, because I got out in 2009. I knew there was something wrong with me, but I didn't. They told me it was nothing wrong with me, because as you look on my wall back there, I was a high achiever, and I can articulate, the things that I thought, but they did not want to do that until going untreated. And that's one of the things that I've been talking about lately is being untreated is a time bomb to you, your family, and your job.
Yeah.
So we need to have these conversations offhand to start chipping away at that wall that we have about what took place in our lives. Because with the wall, you can't get in and you can't get out. So you're stuck right there. So let's chip at it and listen to people and get them the help that they can possibly get for free. This is what I'm trying to do, is to administer medicine in the community for free for those who come in and want the help. It's different I'm an anger management specialist. Majority of the time, that's court ordered. But
Yeah.
imagine if you can
Look,
come when you're ready. What you say, been there, done that? I said the other day when I was talking, the reason I'm a mental health specialist, a anger management specialist, because I'm a subject matter expert. That's why. So once you
yes.
understand why you do what you do, then you
Yeah.
can start making changes. So I'm looking at people and I'm assessing where they're at. Can I help? Is there help beyond me? Can I move it over to Renee? Can I send them over to Jeremy? Can I send them someplace other than just letting them sit right where they are, because they won't do anything until something bad happens. That's the
Yeah.
tough part. Bad things
That's too
have to
hard.
happen to make you uncomfortable so you
Yeah.
move to a life of comfortability. But I want to avoid the bad part that we keep running into that makes us like the DUIs and the domestic violence and the emotional neglect that you've been dealing with for years. I just want you to be able to talk yourself into moving to the next level without someone forcing you to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
Thank
Might
you.
be weird. Does Care Source come into this? Can TRICARE pay for me to come and see you all? How do I pay for you all your therapy session, Miss Renee and Dr. Paul?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you can get mental health because, especially if you're with the VA, and yes, to answer your question, CareSource does have those services available as well. But in addition to that, you have the VA. I went through my care to VA with my care.
Mhm.
I did the group program and I did the individual program.
Mhm.
Yes. So
Me
the
too.
support is there, you know, whether it's CareSource, TRICARE, or the VA, the support is there. And that's the thing that I am most happy about, is that there is more of an awareness towards mental health and, you know, the prevalence of it and how much it's affecting our veteran community. So, I mean, these organizations are making it a priority as part of their systems of care, and that's really important. Just having the resources to send the veteran to.
Mhm.
So,
I created
Yeah.
mine because there was a gap. I saw a
yeah,
gap in the service,
Yeah.
and I did not do any of my mental health work at the VA. No,
yeah,
I was working at the VA, and to me, the VA was a problem for me. So when I finally got help, I resigned from the VA and I got help on the outside. Of course, TRICARE paid for it. But
yeah.
I don't know what
Okay.
CareSource is new, and I'm just digging into it. So I don't know what they're going to
There is
offer.
a
But I
mental health
will,
piece. Yeah, there
yeah,
is a mental health
yeah,
support.
yeah. So I sent a text message to my therapist to ask her, does she take CareSource? Would she like to take care? I'm doing. So here's what it is. It's you. Find it. It's there.
Yeah.
There's more things out
Yeah,
there than we understand, that we know. We're just too timid to make that move without being forced to make that move. Because when I decided I needed help, I just surrendered to the idea that I can't do it myself. That was it. I want my kids to see me as a whole man, not as a damaged man who's living like a hermit, because he thinks nobody loves him and no one
Mm.
cares about him, and all those other things that went on in the last 23 years of my career and prior to, that has not been addressed, just like Renee said, and just like Jeremy says. My opening statement at the symposium was, when they treat us for PTSD, they're treating us pre-military and military PTSD. And most people don't know that that is accredited to your PTSD. And so it's a problem. So that's when you end up going from 10% to 30% to 70%, because they're looking at the whole you, and the whole you has been a problem.
so
Yeah.
so let me chime in. I want to say two things. I'm gonna talk about CareSource too, but I want to tell you, to Paul's point. I had a good experience with the VA, right? And I've met individuals that I've not. So, you know, I have to tell them I'm not advocating for the VA in like, oh, you got to go to the VA, but the services are there, which is why I think it's important that we do push the information out to the community, which is like, so CareSource, that's a new TRICARE Prime option that's coming to the Atlanta and the Tampa area. And, you know, they cover it's available to retirees and their families, activated Guard and reservists, Gold Star family members, right? Like Paul alluded to, the first year, the enrollment fee is waived, and the no referrals for in-service specialty, in-network specialties. He said, if your provider is not in the network, they will work to bring your provider in the network to keep that relationship that you have. And, you know, there's a number that you can call, but when you do go on the website, mental health is one of the pieces that they do highlight, you know, because that is a systemic thing that needs to be addressed in our community. But like Paul said, we're go-getters, right? So when we get out, the onus on us is when we get this information, just like with CareSource, just like with the VA, when we get the support that we need, our onus is to ensure that our battle buddies do know that it's there, because it's not that sometimes it's going to take us to take it to be boots on the ground, to take the information to them. It's overwhelming. But the way I see it is God has given us that, you know, that's a talent we have. That's our charge, right? My battle is at the back of the line. I'm going to spin around. Remember the runs, right? The A group, B group, C group. When we got stragglers, what do? We go back and we pick them up, right? You know, we've already cleared the route. You know, when we did something, we go back and we let everybody know it's safe to pass through. It's the same thing. It's the same concept, like holding on to information, you know, not sharing, not going, because we have to get into the communities. You know, the information is there, but not everybody is going to be comfortable with navigating. Like, you have AI everywhere, all these technology, you know, things that are the evolution of technology, but everybody's not comfortable doing that. And sometimes some people just need to hear it from someone they can see, someone they know, someone they like, someone they trust, right?
Hey.
That's why it's important for us to communicate. Don't hold the information. Go to the communities, go into the communities and share this with our battle buddies there. It's not that they don't want the information. Sometimes they don't know how to navigate. Sometimes it's just too much. It's just way too much information for them to really start, you know, because that's what got me to where I'm at. I was like, this is too much food for me to eat. Right. So then I had to find, it started with someone just breaking it down for me, or me just, WVI was the place where I started. And I'm gonna keep saying that because it is where I started. One person, a client I had, introduced me to WVI. She was a member, and that's where it all started. And then that's where everything grew for me, because when we're in the service, we're not thinking about veterans. When we're in it, we're like, oh my goodness, we need to support our community the same way we served.
Had no clue about the VA until the last 6 months of 23 years. No clue. And then you get out, you're like, who is this and who is that? And you have to affiliate. One of the things we have to do is, when we're in the community, is have random conversations.
Yes.
And one of the things that changed my life was stop isolating myself. So I believe let's swing into suicide prevention. One of the things I believe is when you are left alone, then your demons and your past and your pains sit with you. I used to say it was me and my PTSD, right?
Yeah.
And then I was told by my therapist, you need to join outside groups. That's how I got to ABC, and that's how I met Jeremy. And then I think Renee hired me. You followed me on, you Yelped me or Googled me.
Thumbtack.
Yeah, something like that. And that's how we end up, she ended up hiring me for photography. So, and then we, you know, it's just, and now we're seeing those connections weren't just random.
Right.
They're purposeful. And we have to do our due diligence in the purposeful positions that we've gathered. Because this was just a thought in my head. My nonprofit was a thought in my head back in 2010. And it finally made it to where the forefront, it's a full-fledged nonprofit. to support others. And here's what I don't do majority of the time, because I deal with the civilian side, is I don't hit them with my military persona, because they are already used to someone jabbing at them, jabbing at their character and things like that. I don't make them cry by, giving them the drill instructor mode. No, what happens is I allow the space for them to speak, and then it just all comes out. So that's so important right now.
Well,
Yeah.
Paul and Renee and Tiffany, this is why I wanted to have this conversation. And we got a little less than 15 minutes left. Right now, everybody's moving in a new purpose. But you think when we took the uniform off, we had to figure out transition was hard. What do I look like? Hey, I'm no longer a first sergeant, I'm no longer a gunnery sergeant, El Capitan, a major, or whatever the case is. And now all of a sudden we have a loss of identity. And you guys have created nonprofits and for-profits and businesses that help you in your daily journey and in that daily struggle, just like I did with Helmets to Boots. Everything y'all was saying was like, okay, nobody was there for me when I got out. Nobody was there for me. Army standard is if you see something wrong, fix it. So now all of a sudden, instead of working on a drone program, here I am taking a class and meeting people and doing this and so forth. Instead of being a hermit and being locked down, I got divorced. And all of a sudden I want to shut down, but then I go to school. And then it led to another school and another school. So that redefining of ourselves and our purpose only happened when we built in the community. Tiffany's part of the VFW. I'm part of American Legion. When you look at all these organizations, I don't know what that is when we're in. We all just said the same thing. We don't know what the VA is. We don't really care. But now we're tossed into a community that's not ready to receive us for the most part. And the model for the Legion is be the one, be the one, be the one. How is it be the one if I don't have a Paul? Me and Paul, like you said, met through the ABC. Somebody might not like Paul and be like, hey, don't talk to this dude. But I'm in the same space with him. Hey, Renee, I'm in the same space with you. And all of a sudden, one little thing changed between us. And then I met Tiffany through this program. Was a smile. The military made it to the point like it's hard to smile. It's hard to show emotion. And then all of a sudden, what happens? We get out, we go through transition, which is a huge flood of emotion. That's why I wanted you guys to be here, because you teach us how to navigate something. I'd rather go back to combat than to talk about the loss of my parents last year. No, I go and do a coat drive or something else like that, because what do we learn to do? Suck it up and drive on. And then, like Paul said, the awards on the back, the high performing and this and that. Renee was a commander. Tiffany was a commander. What do you do when we turn around and we have to deal with our soldiers? We're good at them, but nobody teaches us what? Self-care.
That's right.
But now, look at these programs like Highland Rivers. You got Wounded Warriors, the Warrior Alliance, and so forth. You're right. We have to be the one to go and do it. I was like, Helmets to Boost, that's all I've done was just tell people about the stuff you don't know and the people you don't know. You need to connect with Paul Posey, because as a man, you're struggling with PTSD, but you're struggling with being a father to your kid. Wait a minute. My daddy wasn't there for me. The first thing, my daddy wasn't there for me. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk to another man, or let's talk as men about the little boy that got hurt. And now all of a sudden do this. Renee, I talked to so many female veterans, again, MST and so forth. Or they talk about motherhood after the military. Well, mom was a high performer in the military. Now I'm 16 years old and I'm rebelling and I'm doing this. And what's the first thing they say? You don't know me. Well, we don't even know. We're learning a new person and we're trying to learn with you. And we have all this time granted back. And all of a sudden, what happens? But on the back end, everybody that's on the screen is people who were willing to make that change. The suicide problem that we run into, Georgia, I do statistics a lot of times. Georgia's the 7th largest state when it comes to the military populace out of 50. But we're in the top 5 for homelessness and suicide, which seems to like really go hand in hand with each other. And Paul was talking about this before when he was working with the VA in the HUD-VASH program. There's a persona that goes along with all these different programs that they're going to fix you and then we'll provide housing. No, it's not that simple, because I got a drug dealer that I'm paying all my money to. And if I get 100%, this is going to help me. Well, the Bible says a fool and his money is surely departed. I give you $4,000 and you have no financial literacy. You're just $4,000 more of a fool.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And
Oh
that's
yeah,
why I
I've
was
seen
like,
it. Yes.
we need to be here and we need to talk about these things because you're right. We don't have a community that openly expresses that. Why? Because of judgment. You look at us and we're physically okay, or you look good on the outside. And Renee said this all the time. People look at us and be like, "Oh my God, you're handsome and you're beautiful. You served in the military." But what about this? Or what if you say something to me wrong today?
Oh, that
That's
part. Because
that's
people at my
that's
job know. They say,
crazy.
hey, she's quiet most of the time. So if
Mhm,
Tiffany is saying something, we probably need to pay attention because what I learned through these last I got on in 2012. I went through the DBT, diabolical behavior therapy with the VA.
mhm.
Mhm.
And what was the main thing I learned out of there? The best thing I ever learned in my life really is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yes.
Saved my life.
Mindfulness help. Yes,
Yeah.
say that.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Yep. I
Talk
tell you.
about mindfulness, Tiff. Talk about mindfulness a little bit. Tell us what you got, and
What you
then
just
Paul and
said,
Ralph, what you
Jeremy, you don't want to make me just say mindfulness in my mind. Everything that you was just saying about all the things, all the people, all the places you go, and everything that's culminated to this point. Without mindfulness,
Get it,
I,
brother.
I I'm always trying to think about other people. I feel like we're all in this together.
Mhm,
We've all been through something. We all have mothers and fathers, and those relationships. Like I know a 72-year-old lady right now who just blamed her mother for not teaching her how to cook.
Yeah.
You're
mhm,
72. You're 72.
Yeah.
This is something you were supposed to do for yourself, like my lady Renee said.
Yeah.
Now go back
mhm,
and add to the rock what you needed. We have these big rocks. Now put the sand in there
Yeah.
that you went and gathered. Yeah, and that's mindfulness for me. That was a tool that I feel like saved my marriage, saved my life. Um, it's right now today saving me from crashing out on people. Really, it is
Yeah.
because there's so many. I I don't know. The world has shifted, and we've gotten a lot more selfish about everything in the world. And you have to really be mindful of other people and where they're
Yeah.
coming from. I give away a lot of food. I do a lot of giveaways. I try my best to
mhm,
sponsor and partner with as many nonprofits as I can. But you'll get those one or two clients that'll come in there and give you a 3-star rating or a 1-star rating because you didn't have chicken legs, you had chicken thighs.
Yeah.
May I say something?
Yeah.
Sir,
Come on, bro.
Mindfulness is your ability to be in the now. When you suffer
Mhm,
from anxiety and depression is yesterday, and anxiety is things unknown. That's what saved me, was stop thinking about things I could not control. And it brings me centered every time I'm in the room. Sitting next to Jeremy last night, I was so calm. I was so collected because I listened to everything that was said. I was into,
in the moment.
normally my mind travels to yesterday and tomorrow all at the same time, but you
mhm,
would never know, right?
Mhm,
But I was like, I'm extremely calm last night. That's what
Yeah.
I was
you are.
saying. I was saying when I was sitting next to Jeremy, I'm extremely calm last
Mhm,
night. I hear
I want
everything
to
that you're
add
saying.
too.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
let me add real quick. And I was going to say this as you were talking, you kind of alluded to it, is checking in with yourself too. Like
mhm,
what state am I in too? Because everything does start with you, right? So if you're not in a state to receive anything at all, whatever comes your way, you're just going to reflect it back. So you got to check in so that to make sure that you are also in a safe space for you and for whoever is, connecting with you in the
mm,
moment. So it is, being in the now, checking in first, am I in a good place right now? And communicating that. That's one of the things
mhm,
I had to learn is to communicate. I am 20% right now, I am not available for this right now. Can we talk about it later? And sometimes, you'll have someone they don't know how to receive. Can I do this later? So they get agitated, and you cannot allow that to dictate the state that you're in. So being fully grounded in your space, and that is not an easy thing as I said
Practice.
it. You know, that
It's a
is
learned
practice,
behavior.
right? That's practice.
Learned
That's
behavior.
Jeremy and I said this to someone. We're transitioning daily, and the
Yeah.
transition is not necessarily from business to business or whatever. It's usually we got to check in. You know, we got to transition within ourselves too. Our state of mind, our state of being, how we show up, all of those things. It does matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're down to 5 minutes, guys, and this has been awesome. And so,
Yes.
before we get out of here, I want to make sure that the message is sent clear. Everybody on here was a leader in the military. Everybody's still a leader in the community, right? One of the biggest struggles I think we all can agree on is how do we lead ourselves? In the veteran space, we're all sitting here coming back from taking care of others. We've all said it. We can help our soldiers, we can help our airmen, our Marines, and so forth. And coming from a leadership perspective, we can do that. And then when you look at it from a lower level, what is it? Everybody's on a team, right? If you're not a leader, you're on a team. You're being led. Where's the disconnect? When we get out, we don't have that training. We don't have those soft skills. We don't have the wherewithal that the Noah Paul Posey or the Noah Renee or the Noah Tiffany, to know about, hey, you got the Camp Southern Grounds and the Wounded Warrior and all these other different programs. That's where I came in. I was like, helmets to boots. We got to change the world. We got to hit the ground running. I got to get everybody I know in front of our community. Why? Because veterans only deal with veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans only deal. We don't. I can sit in the room and Paul start telling his story, and it's like, dog, he's saying everything. So I don't need to talk. But now I'm not alone. We need that connection. Tiffany said something to me earlier and was like, hey man, we're gonna do this. And I was just sitting here like, wow, I was just thinking that 5 minutes before she got on the call. And me and Renee joke about everything, but we can have banter, like all of us to say, hey, Army, we was picking at the Marine Corps last night. We joke amongst each other, but let somebody else that not serve say something to you the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Paul talked about this one day. He was about to put on an event at the library, right? And somebody said something. People don't even understand that all you have to do is talk to people nicely, whether you're in the service or not. But when you add that layer on, like Renee was talking about, in my ruckus, I've been blown up, my childhood, my this, my divorce, my son just tried to kill himself last year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm dealing with all of that, and I'm still transitioning day by day. And you want to go and poke the bear. Well, sometimes poking the bear don't get you where you want to be at. In fact, it might get you it might get you caskets sharp, as my grandfather used to say.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So this is why I really love the fact that you guys were able to come on here so we can talk about this and address it, because I want other veterans to hear it's okay to be vulnerable. Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're again, most of us have already been retired, but there's a younger generation that's coming out right now that's still looking up to us saying, hey, you know what? Paul was a gunnery sergeant and Walker was a first sergeant. Miss Tiffany turned around and she was a major and Renee was a captain. I can do it too.
Yes.
But if
yes.
we don't show the example of what they can do, I'll be honest with you, and I say this every day. I've been in counseling since 2004. It is 2025. I'd rather go back to Afghanistan and Iraq because I was trained to react to contact. But I can't deal with all this emotional stuff that's going on in my life because nobody ever showed me. So I want people to know that everybody on this screen and everybody in this community, we got love for our veteran community. We volunteer, we got nonprofits, we support nonprofits, we got our own businesses because we are here because we love the people in our community. So
I appreciate them, Jeremy.
This up, man, and
I appreciate Renee and Paul. I appreciate you both for reaching back. Thank you both. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah.
Jeremy. We're the answer. We're the answer because and I was telling you, one of when you're talking to people, one of just remember, one of yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys again. We're down to 30 seconds. I'm gonna put a shameless plug in for Helmets to Boots. I am doing 3 events almost every other day until the 15th of December. And then on top of that, the Skyhawks gave us 150 tickets in order for us in the veteran community to have a good time. a good time. 150 tickets for veterans and their family members. So when I say we care, we are out here doing it because we do. Thank you guys for your time, and I really appreciate you. God, much love and happy Thanksgiving, happy New Year's, and happy Christmas.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you both. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Oh yeah,
Bye-bye.
definitely.
I hope
Have a powerful day.
good things